Hi everyone, Alice here. I'm going to be doing a series of videos, screencasts on the topic of emerging adult. This is ages 18 to 25 years of age. So let's reflect for the lifeline just for a moment. 0 to 2 was infancy. 2 or 3 to 6 years old is early childhood. 6 to 11, middle childhood. Adolescence, 11 to 18. And right now we're going to start emerging adult, 18 to 25 years of age. After this, we have adulthood, which is 25 to 65. That's the longest range or time span that is in one stage in the lifespan. And then we have late adulthood, which is 65 plus. Death and dying is our final chapter, but we probably won't be getting to that because our semester was shortened. So emerging adulthood is a term that was coined by a professor in Missouri who was noticing that his students were going through a stage that was different than adolescence and different than adulthood. And some of the key pieces that he noticed is that parenthood was being postponed, marriage, other kinds of long-term commitments were being postponed, and career commitment was being postponed. And what was sort of taking the place there was this attaining additional education. So in our world, in this society, it seems like more education is helpful for being able to commit to a career and being able to maintain the lifestyles that we see here in our society. If we take a moment and reflect on the interview that we did with the 70-plus-year-old 50 or more years ago, it was probably pretty different. That even from middle childhood, sometimes people would move instead of through adolescence pretty quickly into adult responsibilities. You may have talked with a person who was married at age 16 or met their partner to be pretty early in life and maybe didn't finish high school, had enough skills to go on from there into a career. So it has shifted, and we see this new stage being identified. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about, let's see, today, sorry, have to look for a moment. Emerging adulthood. This is biosocial. It's centered on chapter 17. If you want to take a lot of more detailed notes, you can go back to the PowerPoint that is based on the book. I think I have PowerPoints 1 through 28 I have written down here for you to go through and take notes on. And then this is my own set of PowerPoints, a little bit different, that helps me get through this particular lecture piece. Okay, staying healthy. On this particular slide, it says 62% of emerging adults meet their full standard for aerobic exercise. So the standard for adult aerobic exercise is 30 minutes per day, 5 times a week. And typically, emerging adults are meeting that. What encourages them to do this? They think friendships. So there are groups of emerging adults getting together, playing basketball or going for a bike ride or just walking. At any rate, friendships in these communities, maybe colleges or other areas, groupings where emerging adults may come together and get some of this aerobic exercise together. So they're having fun doing this together. All right, so maximum height, I've written down here, girls age 16, boys age 18. Maximum strength, about 25 years of age for emerging adults. All of their body systems are operating optimally, and so they are staying healthy, they're getting some exercise, and generally eating well, although emerging adults drink more sugar-sweetened soda and juices. So that's something that's pretty prevalent, not just in the lifestyle, I would say, of emerging adults, but in our society in general. There's sweetened sodas, sweetened juices are pretty prevalent. But nutrition, oh, they talk about in our book, it's a lifelong habit. It's embedded in culture. We've talked about nutrition throughout the semester. It comes up again at every stage. diet is important, the habits that we create are important, and they will follow us throughout the lifespan. It's hard to change a habit. You all might be able to reflect on something you do well nutritionally. Let's say, I'll use myself for example, with soda. I Coke and Pepsi, those are my favorites. Kind of a little bit more toward Pepsi. But I decided I wasn't going to drink them anymore quite a long time ago, actually, mostly because of the caffeine. And that was hard, so I had to substitute water. I substitute a lot of cocoa. Actually, I don't know if you can see. Instead of coffee, I also had to quit that because of the caffeine, but the cocoa has um, a little less caffeine, but it has and I can control how much sugar. So that was a habit I had to change over time. So I feel like I did that pretty well. You might have something that you could reflect nutritionally that you shifted, and you might think, what's a challenge for you? So again, sugar is a challenge for me. And I love to bake. So that's something that gets in my way of cutting down on sugar. And it's been a habit over time that I've developed is to bake. So I try to read recipes and say, I don't need to put in as much sugar as they tell me, and I cut back that way. So it's a process, and we all go through it, and you probably have your own examples. If we were in the classroom here, I would have you sharing your examples with one another. So you can just think for yourself right now, what might be some examples for you. So, young adults or emerging adults as a generation consume more bottled water. They eat more organic foods. They have more non-meat diets, or vegetarian or vegan, than do older adults compared to older adults. So they're becoming more fit in that way, more fit perhaps than their parents were at the same age. However, they are drinking the additional sweetened sugars and juices, and the emerging adult of today is heavier than past cohorts, and they tend to gain about 1 pound a year. So if you were to think to yourself, I'm 25 years old and I weigh 150 pounds, for example, in 10 years time at 35 years of age you might weigh 100, and so if you were started at 150 you would be 160. So every 10 years 10 pounds, and that's sort of the trend, and it continues to go up until we sort of face that. And you can hypothesize about why that is for emerging adults today gaining a pound a year. Maybe it is the additional sugars in the diet. So let's take a look at this slide. It's about looking good. So looking good is due in part to the strength, the vitality of the emerging adult. They like to look attractive. Most emerging adults value appearance more than older adults. So although some students that were surveyed and done some research on, they would notice the shallowness of focus on appearance, they are in the minority. So looks are so important to the emerging adult that they spend more money on clothes and shoes than adults of any other age group. So they are caring very much about their appearance. They exercise to look good, whereas older adults may exercise to stay healthy and maintain their health. Well, why might it be important for an emerging adult to care about their appearance? There are a number of things you could probably think of pretty quickly. Number one being attracting mates, a sexual drive and finding your mate, and then commitment potentially. Also, there could be a correlation between looking good and job opportunities. So perhaps it's important to look good when you're going out looking for a job. So here's a person, a trimmed haircut, clean shaven, warm smile, etc. is trying to emphasize the look good aspect while potentially going on a job interview here. Okay, so we're going to stop with that slide for this particular video and pick up there in the next one.